Welcome back to another episode of Two Average Husbands. I'm your host, Jake.
And I'm your host, Kyle. Welcome back, everybody. Jake maybe hasn't realized yet that he has inverted our screens and it hasn't freaked him out, which it usually does. He can't stand being on the right, but here he is. Welcome
I fixed
back.
it. Don't worry.
Jake, you can start us off with what you're drinking this week, and then I'll just roll the fun fact into my drink while I turn my air conditioner on.
I'm going with a little bit of a theme tonight, and I need you to. I'm going with a little bit of a theme tonight, and I need you to connect the theme and then figure out what it is. But I'm starting with Grape Pop Culture, which is a nostalgic grape golden ale. It's supposed to taste like grape soda, basically. I've had their orange soda one, and it was delicious. I actually had it. I've had it on the pod, I think, and then I had it last weekend when I had people over after our bar crawl. And Ryan, our friend Ryan, didn't like it, but then I mixed it with a white monster that I was drinking, and it was, oh my God, it was like a 20 out of 10. It was so good. I liked it without the monster, but yeah, that's neither here nor there. What are you drinking?
Neither here nor there. All right, I am going to start off with Prairie Artisan Ales, which I've had before, but this one is Tiny S's, which I have not had before, and it is a sour ale with fruit candy flavor, and that's all it says, but it's got the nostalgic S's from middle school all over the can. Tiny S's,
Throwing it back.
Pretty good. Yeah, this will be hopefully pretty good. I don't think it has any explanation of what the fruit flavors are supposed to be. So we'll give it a shot. Jake, do you know what the first CD ever produced was?
The Beatles' greatest hits. I don't know.
Jesus. No. So the first one to become commercially available, if we're being specific, was in Japan in 1982, and it was Billy Joel's 52nd Street. And then the first one in the U.S. was... Sorry, Lewis just scrolled all the way the fuck down. The first one in the United States was Bruce Springsteen's 1984 album, Born in the USA.
It's a good album.
That's your fun fact of the day. Sorry, that's Lewis.
Dang it, Lewis. Lewis just doesn't want me to be in the pod.
God damn it.
Again.
Dude,
he did it again.
Slammed on my keyboard that time. He doesn't give a single fuck right now. He just wants all the scratches. Okay, Jake, I'm going to roll right into my first topic, and I was going to start with my other topic, but I'm going to switch since I was talking about concerts and CDs. So we're going to roll into my first topic now, which is this. Jake, what do you think is the best way to see live music in terms of like venues? And what's the worst way? And I want to talk about this for a specific reason, but I'll let you kind of talk through yours first.
So I think the best way to see it is in a smaller venue. So like in Chicago, anybody who's been to music venues in Chicago, places like the House of Blues in Chicago is awesome. Bottom Lounge is great. Just like they're more intimate spaces where you can still hear everything and it's still like a good time, but you're not like watching the one thing I hate going to like an arena show, like arena shows are super cool, but I hate like that I can't really see what's going on. And then I have to like watch the concert on the projector screen.
Yeah.
Like that pisses me off. I still like going to arena shows and I don't think that's the worst way to do it. So for me, those smaller, like more intimate venues are the best way. And then honestly, I think the worst way, and I might have to explain this a little bit more, is at festivals. I really do think I think festivals are super fun. They're a great way to see a lot of bands at once, but because it's so condensed, bands get like 20, 30-minute sets unless they're the headliner. They like literally just have to go song after song after song. You don't get really a lot of the crowd interaction. You miss a lot of that stuff unless it's the headliner. So and I like that part of the concert. I like when they're interacting with the crowd. I like when, you know, they're explaining their songs or talking about their story. Like, I'm gonna need you to just unplug all of your inputs.
I'm trying.
But yeah, so for me, I think that really is like the worst way to, if you like want to see a specific band, I think that's the worst way to do it.
Okay. Yeah, I can buy that. If it's you know, singularly like your best artist of all time at a festival might not be the best. I could buy that argument.
Yeah.
Carly, the reason that I'm on the wrong side is because Lewis is body slamming my keyboard basically nonstop because he wants so much love. and I'll scratch him. And as soon as I stop scratching him, he just slams his head back into my keyboard. So I'm trying to defer him from doing that right now while I'm also scratching him and keeping him content. But anyway, so, okay, I'm going to start off with my best way. And I think the best way possible to see live music is to go, and I know that this is kind of a cop out a little bit in terms of how I'm picking this because I'm going to be very specific, but I think if you have the opportunity, the best way to do it is to discover an artist early and go to their early shows, like maybe right after their debut album, right? Like, so they come out with a debut album, they're just picking up in popularity. You go, you see them live in concert in the smallest venue possible, because then you get just, it's twofold here. You get an artist that is like super motivated to get fans, right? So they're out there just fucking putting it all out there on the stage. And you also get an artist that's fan base is very dedicated, because there's not, a massive fan base, or maybe the rolling popularity that some of the other more mainstream folks have. So you have a artist that is really trying to get the crowd involved, and a crowd that wants to be involved, right? So you get kind of that best dynamic early in a career in a small venue, I think. But I understand why that's not always possible, right? Like, you're not going to always be the first person to discover an artist. In fact, I've probably never been that person. Maybe saw like 2 or 3 times in my life now have I seen an artist live that was not super popular that became really popular. And
I've seen
debatable.
I've seen a lot just because of like going to a lot of country music shows. Like, a lot of when you go to like
openers,
just the openers, like they'll pick like just a small songwriter who's got a few songs, and then they blow up. So like Hardy, one of the biggest names in country music right now. I saw Morgan Wallen when he was like fresh off The Voice, like just things like that, just off of like randomly seeing them as openers. But otherwise, like if I think of any other music genre that I've seen, it's really never happened.
Well, and this is going to roll into my second point about this, which is why I slightly disagree with you. And I think that festivals are great is because of this very reason. So, if you go off the main stage and you go to some of the smaller stages at music festivals, and you see somebody's name that you're not familiar with, but you're like, hey, I just want to be in the shade for a little while. Or, hey, somebody's told me that they have this one song that they like. So you go see them. Some of the best artists that you can find are at those, because it's the same situation that I was describing before, right? Like, these people are maybe getting their first shot on a big stage at a very public venue or whatever. And they're like really trying to get their name out there. And so you're going to get like a really freaking awesome show probably. And so I think like Stagecoach, for example, I got to see, and I would say he has just slipped into the mainstream now. So I don't know if this is quite like fitting what I'm trying to describe, but like Nate Smith, for example, right? Like, he kind of had like one really popular song before like going into Stagecoach, and now his album is completely blown up, and it's not because of Stagecoach. He's like touring and trying to get his name out there and everything, but Stagecoach probably freaking helped. And he was in a small little awesome venue in there and put on a freaking awesome show. And that is an example, right? Like, of seeing that kind of happen. And that was one of the favorite moments for me at that entire festival, was seeing that, because it was such a good show. In addition to that, I think the worst way to see music by far is arenas. I think arenas are the fucking absolute worst, because you talk about the most disconnected you could possibly be with your audience, other than like the front row, right? And as an audience member. So you're seeing, and I think what reminded me of this, if I remember right, because I took this note a few weeks ago, was Carly has watched some of the Taylor Swift tour live as people are streaming it or whatever. And it's these people that are like, sure, the music still sounds pretty good, like even in the back of these venues, but your ability to even see the artist is like zero.
Right.
It is a fucking ant on a stage, and you are just sitting there basically listening to the fucking radio, and these people are all screaming at the top of their lungs. So not only do you have no ability to like see the artist, or like, the showmanship of the artist themselves, like you don't really get to experience that necessarily as much, but you also have a fan base that is just like overcrowded in the back of a fucking massive venue that is just, and these people, and I know that this would happen to me because it's happened to me before, but they are fucking screaming completely out of tune, and it is the worst. Like, so you might even get overwhelmed by that and your ability to actually hear the artist because of fucking annoying ass people. And one of my biggest problems with it too, and I get it, I truly get it as an artist, but it fucking drives me crazy that the reason that the arena thing became so popular is because it's just a cash grab.
Yeah, it's a way to make a ton of money.
You can now go from having 100 to 200 people at your concerts, or whatever, like even 1,000, right, to 10, 15, 20, 30,000 people in a fucking amphitheater or an arena, and there's no experience, right? Like
Yeah.
you have made it so big that the show's probably going to sell out, or sell enough tickets that you're going to make a shitload of money, and you just don't really care about the experience anymore. And the sad thing too is that some of these audience members are so dedicated that they're going to spend a fucking insane amounts of money, for the example of like Taylor Swift, to go see that experience. And it's just, I don't know. I can tell from the people that I've seen while Carly's watched this live that they are still obviously like fucking goo goo gaga over the experience. So like, I can appreciate that. But can you imagine how much better that would be if they were like 40 rows closer in a smaller venue where they got to actually you know what I mean? So I think that's the worst way. That's a long explanation for why I think arenas are the worst way. But you need to have, if you're not getting some sort of interaction out of a concert, right? Like, or some sort of, feel the music, feel the crowd, feel the artist type of thing, then you're listening to the radio, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I feel that. The only reason I give arenas a little bit of an edge up is, and this is going to be super niche to like certain artists versus others, but for example, we just saw Thomas Rhett, Cole Swindell, and Nate Smith. We were at the United Center in Chicago, and Cole Swindell has a song in his set about his father passing away, and how it's called "You Should Be Here." So basically, like wishing his dad could be there with him and seeing what's going on. So like when he's singing that song, obviously it's a super emotional.
Sorry.
It's a super emotional song for him, and with everybody singing it, like he's on stage like literally crying because of like how wild everybody is going for that song. So like cool moments like that, it's a lot different when it's 20,000 people that are right there with the artist experiencing that, and like it's such a relatable song. Like everybody's lost somebody, and so like you see so many people in the crowd themselves that are crying, like things like that. Those experiences are so cool to me, and that's what gives it just the slight edge up over the festival for me. Because if it weren't for experiences like that, arenas kind of blow.
Dude, there isn't a single artist that I could like see walk out on stage and like physically come to tears, and Taylor Swift does that to like 500,000 fucking people. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like they don't even have to hear the music yet. She just steps onto the stage and people are like, whoa.
Yeah,
like,
no, could never be. Literally could never be me. I've seen Jake Scott, the guy right there, did a meet and greet with him. He signed it and everything. Like one of my favorite artists of all time. And no, I'm not crying like, because I saw him or met him or anything like that. Like I met him. I had a conversation with him. He signed my stuff. We hung out for like 10 minutes and then he moved on to the next person like he has to. And then like he came out, did his show, and it was a good time. Yeah, it's arenas kind of blow.
It's yeah. I don't know.
They're also they're just a pain to get to. Like
they keep
having to go into the city, like especially in Chicago. Like if you go to anywhere in Chicago, you're paying 20, 30, 40, 50 plus bucks for parking on top of you spent $100+ to get into the venue. Plus if you want drinks or food or anything when you're in there, that's another 40, 50 bucks on top of, you're probably going to buy a shirt. So like you're at $400 just for the experience. And then it's like, and then you can't see them and you have to watch the concert on the giant TV screens that you're there. And it's like, I'd rather my friend just be there live streaming it with their phone and I can just get the audio through that. It's like the same, depending on where you sit in the arena, sometimes it's the same audio quality that you're getting there.
And I keep referring back to Taylor Swift, and I don't mean to pick on her specifically, but I'm kind of going to, because she's kind of the arena queen right now. And that's the fact that, I think, oh, dude, I just totally lost my train of thought. It's going to come back to me. I promise. It's coming. Gears are turning.
The wheel is spinning, but the hamster's dead.
I started reading a comment, and like that's the only thing I can fucking see in my head now. But here we go. There we go. So she's a little bit of an outlier because she can charge a ton of money because of her popularity, right? Not every artist can do that. So some arena concerts are a little bit cheaper. But the problem is, right, like if you dollar for dollar compare what you could do with the money that you'd spend on a Taylor Swift ticket versus a festival, like name the festival, you could probably go to it for a price of a Taylor Swift ticket.
I can fly to you, go to 2 music festivals, fly home, and it's less than Jess was willing to spend on 1 ticket to a Taylor Swift concert.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. It's insane. And that's that experience, right? Like I'd so much rather go to that festival because you can still have the arena experience if you want, because you can stand in the very far back of the fucking main stage and it's just like being in an arena. Or you're gonna have the option to go off to side stages, see other music, move around a little bit, you know. I don't know. I would just prefer that experience for sure.
Speaking of the festival, I'm so ready for the actual like line. I know the lineup of Aftershock, but I need to know the time slots because I need to know how I'm maneuvering. Because there's very specific bands that I'm forcing you to see, and if you don't want to see them,
as long as it doesn't align with like a must see for me at a different stage, then yeah, I'm down to see.
Then if it does, we're splitting up and we'll meet back up at the beer tent,
because there are at least a handful of I will not miss this. Yeah. And then there's plenty of like I don't want to miss, but I will if I have to.
Now I kind of want to switch my second topic to Aftershock, but I might wait and do that and talk about like the bands.
We've got some time left for that, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll probably do that. As you can't steal that topic. That one is mine. I call dibs.
I won't. It's all yours. You're gonna forget, so it's all good.
No, I won't. We're gonna break it down. Anyways, that was a great first topic.
Thanks.
I need to go to more concerts.
Same.
I'm actually going to a concert. If you count like the 2 festivals as like many different concerts, they kind of are.
I don't, but we're going to 3 festivals this year, and then I've bought tickets for other concerts that'll technically be into next year, but I'm trying to get to a lot more.
Going to 2 in September, and then the 2 festivals in October, and then I probably because in November I think Hardy's here, so I got to drive down to Peoria for that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna see a few more, but yeah, great topic. Great topic.
Jake, what's your first? Do you want to rate your beer? Are you ready for that?
Yeah, I can rate it. I'm not close to finish with it yet, but I can rate it. It tastes like a grape soda. It's blue, which kind of or like greenish blue, which kind of threw me off a little bit for a grape soda, but it tastes like a grape soda. So if you like grape soda, you'll like it. If you don't, you don't. I do. 3.75.
I'm not gonna lie, this shit's really good. Really fucking good.
Your first sip, I couldn't tell what you were thinking because you made a face.
Ooh.
I couldn't tell if it was that face or if it was like a ew.
So this is another one of those strange colors, not for a beer, but strange colors given the flavor, because this tastes also a little grapey. I got to taste again and see what else pops out to me. I don't even know how to describe this, but it's delicious. It is just a fruity flavor, and there's a little bit of grape in there, maybe some, I don't know, orange or something.
It's almost like a handful of Skittles.
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of, where you get like that mix mash flavor.
Maybe that's what they mean by tiny S's.
Skittles,
but they couldn't say it.
My brain went Skittles, but my brain also went Starburst. But Skittles makes a lot more sense because they do have tiny S's on them.
Anyway, this is a 4.0.
Ooh, that's a high rating for you.
This is really good.
Remember when you used to shit talk sours every fucking week?
Yeah, and then I saw the flavor profiles that they were describing, and I forced myself to like them because I want to try all these flavors. It is the stouts of like 10 years ago and the fucking IPAs of 5 years ago, right? Or like, maybe farther back than that. My time frames are probably off, but like every like beer variety has gone through some fucking phase where tons and tons of people are just like producing different flavors. Right now that's sours, and they can do so many unique things with it because it's not like it's not like specific to like hops, right? Like it's not like a super hoppy thing, or it's not like a super dark beer where like there's a specific flavor to that. It is a totally unique flavor set and profile. So yes, I didn't want to get into it at first because I thought they tasted terrible and I didn't like the concept of sour in my beers, but now I'm there. I'm ready.
When you have like the super traditional sours, they definitely can be very off-putting, but a lot of the very fruity, like the fruited sours or like the smoothie sours, everything like that, they're all so good. But anyways, you actually kind of brought it up, and I'm taking a little bit of spin off of what you brought up. You mentioned how like beer varieties and things like that have changed over time.
It's true.
I want to know how your tastes for alcohol have changed over time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So when you started drinking, what was your drink of choice?
I mean, if we want to go way back to like what was tolerable, because the first thing I ever drank was like a wine cooler. Somebody gave me like a sip of a wine cooler, maybe maybe even like a sip of wine, right? Like we're talking about way back, right?
What was your first like go-to drink? So like when you started drinking more than just like your parents handing you their Mike's Hard Lemonade.
So like that flavor profile connects directly with like, okay, that didn't taste so bad. Because then you try a beer after that and you're like, ooh, gross, right? And then you try to reconnect to something that's good because you still want to like party. So I think the first thing that I was like selectively picking out was like Mike's Hard Lemonade or something, you know? It was either
Respect.
that or probably like Smirnoffs, maybe of some variety, not necessarily ice, but I also did like ice.
I still like them. They are delicious.
I don't want them anymore because I don't want to chug them.
Yeah,
And that's
same.
the only manner in which I drink those now. Um, but yeah, I think that was probably it, right? So that was the starting point.
Carly, it may not sound good, but it doesn't taste like beer. It tastes like just slightly alcoholic grape soda. It's delicious. And if you
Dude,
used
okay,
to sip Jaeger bombs, you have a problem, Uncle Kyle. I love me a Jaeger bomb, but I'm not sipping it.
I just pulled a Carly hair out of my head. The fact that you said Skittles and then I took another sip after that, my brain is thinking Skittles. I think it does taste exactly like a handful of Skittles.
Yeah,
I think that's it.
I would almost guarantee that that's the
Yeah.
goal.
That was well thought out by you. Congratulations.
That's what I'm here for. Anyways, yeah. So my first thing, I actually went straight to beer, and that's probably due to hanging out with Dane and Dane's siblings.
Yeah.
And they drank beer. So for me, very specifically, the first beer that I actually, because I drank beer quite a few times and didn't like it. The first beer that I actually enjoyed and it then became my go-to beer was PBR.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think now because there was a point in time. I'm trying to get like timelines straight in my head because it started off with something fruity because I was a big baby. And then I switched to, I think it was Bud Heavy first, was where I first was like, I like this.
I did like Bud Heavies.
But then quickly after that, my brother was the only one that would actually buy me alcohol, and he would only buy me PBR. So then I quickly, by force, and at the time I probably had to acquire the taste because I was used to things like Bud Heavy that I'd get from friends or whatever, and even maybe a little bit of Bud Light. But then it switched to PBR almost exclusively for probably a year or so.
I remember my beer journey so specifically. It started with PBR, and then I transitioned to Miller Lite for the same reason that you drank PBR.
Yeah.
Was the person who bought my alcohol only drank Miller Lite, and as a result, only bought Miller Lite when I would have him buy me beer. And then I went to Bud Light, and then I went to Bud Heavy, and then basically would drink whatever for a really long time. And then now I think I'm to the point, just beer wise, that the only beer that I really like go out of my way to drink anymore is Coors Light.
I don't like the way that you say that.
What do you mean?
Say it again.
Coors Light?
Yeah, I don't think I like that.
How do you say it?
I think you are saying it as if it's spelled Cores. That's what it sounds like.
That's how it's pronounced.
It's Coors.
Coors.
There's two O's.
Yeah. Coors.
Anyway, yeah, I could run through my journey really quick, I guess, with beer. But the point is like I went to some mix of heavy and light beer, right? Like as my go-to.
Right.
So I think it went from heavy to PBR to probably Bud Light or Busch Light, depending on where I was. And then I got smart because I was broke and I found myself providing beer to everybody, right? Because if I find a way to get some and then everyone's like, oh, mine. So I got smart and I switched to Miller for a very short period of time because nobody would drink it. Everybody shit talked Miller Lite. So you take it to a party, nobody touches it. And then I discovered Michelob Golden Ale, which I don't even know if they make it anymore because I've tried to find it. And it might have even been Michelob Golden Light. I think it was Michelob Golden Light.
Michelob Golden Light.
And so
they do make it. It's called Michelob Ultra Pure Gold now.
So that was the first beer that I can definitively remember trying it for the first time and going, this is awesome.
Yeah, you're like, holy shit, this is it. This is what I've been looking for.
And I liked light beer, but this was like, holy fuck, it's good. And it's another thing that people just didn't really recognize, so they didn't take it at parties either. So I switched from Miller to that exclusively and loved that shit for quite a long time. And then that takes you in probably long enough to the point where it was like maybe Coors Light after that for a little bit. But then it goes to at that point in my life, I was like, I don't ever want to drink a Bud Light again in my life because I'd had so much of it. And so I completely deferred myself away from that. And then I started to acquire the taste of IPAs for the shortest beer stint of all time because I fucking hate them now. I hated them before. I had a random moment in my life where I was like, this is good. And then I completely went away from that. And I switched to, that might've been right into stouts from there.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
then now probably pretty recognizable because I
Makes
switched
sense.
from stouts to Michelob Ultra first, and now Bud Light next. So either one I'll still drink, and then sours. So
I still drink Bud Light next. I still drink Michelob's, but like when I want a beer now, I want a Coors Light. And I think that's just from honestly, Joey from our fantasy football league, like playing softball with him forever, Coors Light was his beer. So he would always bring Coors Light and I'd just mooch off of him.
yeah.
So I think it was just the only thing I drank for so long that it has just kind of become my beer now. But now take me through your hard liquor journey. Because I've noticed everybody's hard liquor journey, people either pick one and have stuck to it forever, or they've hopped around like a grasshopper.
Yeah, I definitely hopped around a lot because I went from, I think vodka was the first thing I started with because at the time it was like peak popularity of UVs.
Yep.
And so like UV blue was the thing to drink back then.
Yeah.
And then from there, from the vodka ages, I forced myself to try gin and hated it. So I didn't like stick with that. And then I went to rum for quite a while. I did the rum thing for a long time because it was like, I just didn't really like, I still equate vodka in most brands as just rubbing alcohol. Like with no real flavor, unless it's truly a flavored vodka. But if you're just trying to have vodka, it's fucking rubbing alcohol. So I went to rum, which actually does have some flavor, especially spiced rum, obviously. And they have a ton of flavored rums and stuff. So we did that. And like at the time that this was happening, I was also starting to bartend. So it was like I could experiment with drinks a little bit. I found a lot of rum stuff that I liked. Even like I was even willing to drink like some rum and Coke, and I hate Coke.
Yeah.
But I like the mix tasted okay enough to me that I would do that every once in a while because you could get them for like super cheap deals in the college town.
Yeah.
And then it was whiskey and has been and stayed whiskey since then.
Nice. For me, also started, actually, no, I started with whiskey, but like when I say whiskey, it was like Fireball, Jack Fire, Jack Honey, like flavored whiskeys, kind of like that. And then that very quickly switched to Captain Morgan. And I only drink Captain Morgan for probably like 2 or 3 years if I drank liquor.
Yeah.
From there, it went to vodka. And then there was probably like 3 or 4 years where if I had a mixed drink, it was a vodka soda with 2 limes. That was my, like, probably from like 21 to 25, that was basically the only like cocktail I drank.
I guess I kind of lied to you because now that I think about it, I'm still partial to vodka tonics. So I don't know when it happened exactly, but I switched from the rum to whiskey game and then I incorporated vodka tonics every once in a while, and I'll still do that.
Yeah.
But there was a phase for a while, like if I was going to go out, I would do vodka tonics all night because
Yeah.
it's just like light and refreshing. It's not like whiskey. You need to like, if you're going to be drinking whiskey, right? Like not sipping, but if you're out to like party, it can be a lot. Like it can be kind of heavy. So it was nice to mix in the vodka tonics every once in a while because I had quite a phase of that.
From the vodka phase, the vodka soda phase, went straight into whiskey. Super whiskey guy. Have a collection. Still do. Still love it. But now, basically, like if I'm drinking a cocktail, it's tequila based. I'm on a huge, and for the past like year and a half, almost 2 years, I've been on such a huge tequila kick. So I'm a big tequila guy now. And I'll still take shots. I'll still drink everything. I'll still take shots of basically any, like if somebody's like, I'm buying, like when we were at the bachelor party and you bought picklebacks, like I just drank the whiskey. I didn't drink the pickle juice, but I took a shot of whiskey. I'll take a shot of Jaeger. I'll take I'll like,
I love pickleback.
Cherry squirts are delicious. There's so many different, little things like that I'll do the shot of, but like, I'm a tequila girly through and through right now.
Tequila has always been on my radar, I guess, ever since I first tried it. So I started with, probably around the same time that I started bartending is when I started like shooting shots of tequila. And then since then I've always liked it, but I am not like a nice person when I drink tequila. So I can't
That's
go
not
ham
a
on the
thing.
tequila. It is kind of a thing.
That's not a thing.
Carly can vouch. I have like a different mood or like a mood swing when I drink tequila. I don't know if I'm just like quicker to the trigger when I'm like drinking some tequila, but I just like fire off a little too
You
much.
feel spicier. That's all it
Yeah,
is.
it's not even feel, it just is spicier. But people have mentioned this in here too, right? Like I think Logan and I are connected a little bit because I did whiskey sours, I think, as my starter into the whiskey game. And then it went to like 7s and 7s after that. So I also did that for a while. And then everybody goes through their little vodka Red Bull phase, like Uncle Kyle was saying.
Oh,
Like that's
yeah.
a college thing for sure.
It was vodka Red Bulls
with Jaeger
before it was
bombs.
vodka sodas. That's if I'm telling the story super accurately.
And thankfully for me, my timeline was a little bit different, I guess. Not too separated from you, but like a little bit to the point where like it makes a difference, I think, with these. And that's like your fireballs, rum chatas, things like that. They got popular when I was already at the point where I'm like, I don't really want to do that.
Yeah.
And so I did it with both of those, but then I quickly backed off of those. I was never like, there were people that were like fucking doing the fireball. People are still doing the fireball fucking thing. I don't get it.
If I'm golfing, I want a shot of Fireball.
I
Like
don't
it's the only
want
time
that
I
at all.
ever crave it anymore. Like if I'm on the golf course, I make a nice birdie, something like that, make an eagle. I'm like, Fireballs, let's go.
I don't want that in my life,
Well,
even a little bit.
it'd
We're
be
getting to
that
the
way
end of your
sometimes.
topic though, so I want to ask this as part of your topic.
Okay.
What is your I will not drink this booze? And it's not
Gin.
mine's not Fireball.
Gin.
No, I mean like very specifically. Do you have there has to be something that you can think of that is like a brand flavor,
Yeah, Bombay Sapphire.
Bombay Sapphire.
I will not drink Bombay Sapphire.
Yeah.
You
Did you
cannot
get
pay
sick?
me. You cannot pay me any amount of money. No, I just fucking hate drinking Pine Sol. I'd rather just drink Pine Sol.
Okay, so somebody told me this at one point in my life. They said if you don't like gin, it's because you've never had a good gin.
Which I do believe that.
I do too. And I didn't when they told me that. And I do now because I finally had somebody that bought me a bottle because he was a gin drinker. I talked shit about gin and he bought me a bottle. And I can't even remember what it is now, but I have it here at the house. I haven't barely touched it. But we've made some like mixed drinks with gin and I have definitely enjoyed them.
I remember, I think you tweeted about it back when you had a Twitter and we're like, does
Probably.
anybody have any gin cocktails? And I was like,
yeah,
you
yeah,
try
yeah,
a
I
bee's
did that,
knees.
Yeah, and then I think we might have done that. And then we like old timer drinks. Like I'm an old fashioned drinker for sure.
Yeah.
And then Carly got I'm gonna blank on the gin ones. There's two. A gin fizz is one, and then there's something else gin that's very popular that she really liked. Manhattan's gin, or no, those are whiskey.
No, those are rye. Gin mule, gin and tonic,
No.
salty dog,
No, doesn't matter. Anyway, I like gin now that I've had a
Gin
halfway
Gimlet,
decent one.
a Tom Collins.
Tom Collins. There you go. Thank you. Got it there. Okay. Mine, though, the thing that I cannot ever do again in my life, Rumplemints.
I know what we're doing next time I'm there.
Rumplemints.
What if I give you?
If I smell Rumplemints now, I want to die.
What if I give you a less aggressive Rumplemints?
So
Like
if
a-
you're talking
like
about
menthol
menthol McGillicuddy's, I have done it successfully since my swearing off of Rumplemints, but it still grosses me the fuck out. Like, okay, so to make a long story short, I think the first time that I was ever bathtub Kyle was Rumplemints.
Good
I
old
think that
bathtub
was
Kyle.
the originating liquor
Beverage.
behind me being that. And it maybe was because of that I became that person. Like I puked so violently that I just never wanted to have to deal with that again in my life. So,
Makes sense.
fuck
I love
Rumplemints.
Rumplemints.
It was when I was bartending and there was a bartender who I'm still friends with to this day who was like forcing Rumplemint shots down my fucking throat the first time that I drank with like the guys at the bar.
Yeah.
And it was a terrible decision. I tried to keep up with a bunch of people that were like way more experienced drinkers than I were.
Oh, that's where
and
you go
who
downhill.
I was. Yeah, it was a mistake. I died. Long story short. Okay. That's all I got for your topic. Is that all you have for your topic?
That's all I got.
All right, sick. We can roll into my topic then, unless you're ready to. Yes, sweet. Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm drinking Energy City Brewing's Bistro Strawberry Peanut Butter and Jelly. Which
I always
is
try to save. Okay, it's
Peanut-
peanut butter grape jelly. There you
Yeah.
go. There's your theme. Gotcha.
you got that quicker than I thought you would.
I have tried to make it so that the one that I anticipate more is the beer that I want to drink more is my second beer of the day. Is how I've been trying to do this, which is no different here. I'm so excited for this. I'm going to be so sad if it's bad because Knee Deep is kind of hit and miss, but this is a Knee Deep Brewing Company
Great band, by the way. Oh, Neck Deep. Never mind. Pass.
beer, and it's called Whip It Out. and it is a pineapple whipped kettle sour,
I've had that.
and I am stoked for it.
I've definitely had that. I've seen that can before.
I am a big pineapple bitch, and I'm really hoping this is like Dole Whip,
That
which
would
is
be-
probably not
yeah.
going to be. But I'm setting
Ah.
myself up for failure by thinking that it might
I'm
be.
trying to remember. I want to pull up my Untap now, but
I have to also pour this one-handed because Lewis is firmly planted on my hand.
it'd be that way sometimes. But while you're doing that, try and introduce your second topic.
No, I will. Too easy. Jake, we're going to go morbid.
All right.
It's time that we talked about death.
Yeah, it's probably fair.
So I want to talk about this. I want to talk about what do you want to happen after your death? And anything and everything, right? Like funeral, what they do with you physically, any of that stuff. Neither of us are religious, so probably no religion involved in either, but
Nope.
we can I want you just to talk about it, and then we can talk about maybe some taboos or anything like that if you want, or like weird things. But really, I'm going to start with where we both sit in terms of post-death ritual.
Yep. So when I go, I'm getting cremated.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually not entirely true. I'm an organ donor. Everybody who's listening should sign up to be an organ donor. If you can, sign up to be an organ donor. So my organs will be donated to whoever can have them. It depends on how I go out, though. I've always said that, like, if I'm to the point where I cannot be myself, like if I can't function for myself, I'm just going to take myself out. And so got to find a way to do that while keeping the organs intact. So organs are going to get donated, and then I'm going to be cremated. I still think I'm going to have a funeral. Like I feel like I'm going to have to. But ultimately, I also wouldn't mind if that money is not spent on a funeral. I'd rather money just be like, I'd rather, like, God willing, Jess and I are still together. Like I said, God willing, we just talked about not being religious whatsoever, but it's just kind of a thing that's ingrained in my memory.
It's just a phrase, yeah.
Yeah. So, assuming Jess and I are still together, I'd rather her not spend the money on the funeral, and just have that money. And then I'd rather it just be like a celebration of life.
Yeah.
Like, I still want everybody to gather, but I don't want to, like, fucking caskets are expensive. Don't buy a casket.
Yeah.
I'm being cremated anyway. You don't need a casket. I'm going to be in a nice little vase. Maybe it'll, like, have my dog's paw prints on it or something. I don't know. We'll do something cute with that. But I just want a celebration of life. I want everybody to come together, tell the good stories, the bad stories, everything in between.
Yeah.
And very specifically, I want some of my ashes to be spread at Wrigley Field.
Okay. Is that legal?
They'll find out.
Fucking like drop them behind you
just-
as you walk.
just-
Go for a tour and
Just
dump a little bit.
Quick little pocket drop.
Yeah. That's right.
So want some dropped there. I want some dropped at the location of the former Hula Hands in the Geneva Commons, because that's where
I don't know
where
what the fuck that means.
it's a restaurant chain. The restaurant has since closed, but the building's still there. Want some dropped there because that's where I met Jess.
Nice.
And then I want some mixed in with my dog's ashes
Okay.
so that I can be with them forever. Because
Okay.
we're gonna when our dogs go, we're gonna cremate them all. So
you're a little bit stitious.
little bit
Is that what you're telling
stitious.
me? Okay.
Just not super. No, I'm superstitious. I'll just go as far as saying that. But like that's really all I want. Like
Okay.
I want all of my assets to go to Jess, all of my liabilities to go to my brothers. They can figure that one out.
Nice.
But no, I'm everything is just gonna go to Jess, and then like any material things that I have that like Jess wouldn't know what to do with anyway. Like I just want like my golf clubs. I want them to go to whoever my best golfing buddy is in my later years.
Yeah.
My like just things like that, and then just
Are you the type of person that? Well, do you have a will?
Technically.
Do you have a legal will?
I have a very rough will in the notes app of my phone.
So no,
I don't have a legal will.
but your intent is on your phone. Okay, I got you.
Yes.
Okay, so are you the kind that A is going to produce a will? You probably should, by the way.
Yes. Yes.
I'm going to get one soon. And then on top of that, are you going to update it like with specifics over time? Because some people are
Yeah.
like that, right? Like, so are you
Yeah.
going to be like, I want my brother to have X, Y, and Z. I want my other brother to have X, Y, and
Yep.
Z. I want Jess to have these things. I want my, my homie down in California to have my PC.
XYZ. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you're
No,
gonna be
yeah.
very specific
It's
about it. Okay.
yeah, it's gonna be updated. Anything of value or emotional importance will go to the people that they need to go to.
Yeah.
And then everything else is just it's Jess's at that point. So
Yeah.
she's the beneficiary on my life insurance. Like all of that money is going to go to her. Any of the money that I have at the time. Hopefully, I've paid off all my debts at that point. So,
Yeah. Well, or hopefully your life insurance does it.
Yeah.
If you're, that's kind of the point, I guess. Okay. Anything else? I'm gonna take a sip of this. There is a note on this beer, by the way, that says it is supposed to be like a quote unquote favorite theme park treat.
Yeah.
AKA
so it's
Dole Whip.
a Dole Whip.
After going through my mom's death, I will donate organs, get cremated, and do a celebration of life at a bar if my family members need that. It says
Yeah.
Carly.
So
the $8,000 funeral was such a waste of money.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Carly and I, we're basically doing the same thing.
Yeah, and I will say essentially the same things you just said, but with minor variations. So I'm not superstitious, or religious, right? So cremate me. Do not give me a headstone. Because, okay, I will say knock on wood, right? Like, even though I'm not superstitious, I hope to outlive the older generations of my family, right? Because people like my grandma and my mom would want me to have a headstone if I did not outlive them.
Right.
So if and when that happens, go ahead and give them a headstone. Just for
Carly,
them, right?
clip
like,
it.
Do it cheap.
Clip that.
However, if I outlive both of them, do not fucking put a headstone in a graveyard and pay for a plot. That is such a waste of money.
Fuck that.
But some people need that shit to grieve. I don't think anybody in my family, except for my mom and grandma, would need that.
And let me just add something to mine. If people want something to grieve over for me, you can have a little bit of my ashes. You can have a dime bag of Jake's ashes.
Yeah, and that was my next thing that I was going to list, which is some people are very, very strange about ashes being separated based on their religion. For example, my grandfather, my aunt, without asking my grandmother, distributed some of my grandfather's ashes to the people that wanted them for memories, right? My grandma does not believe that ashes should be separated. And so it created a point of contention in my family, to say the least. And I will say definitively that I don't give a fuck. You can either throw them all in the ocean or fucking put them in a urinal. I don't give a shit, right? Like, I'm dead. I don't care. So whoever wants to do whatever they want with my ashes can go ahead. There's no disrespect to the dead for me. Like, you are not going to hurt my feelings because I will be dead. So do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. I will not haunt you. You have my word.
I also don't believe in ghosts. So no worries there. If I somehow can magically become a ghost, even though I don't believe in it, then I will not haunt you if you fuck with my ashes. So we can leave it at that. I don't see any reason to, no offense, I totally understand your mentality there, but you don't have to like hold on to my pet's ashes and mix them together. I love my pets dearly. I'm not superstitious, so don't care about that.
I just know like we are going to. So it's just like,
I totally get it. I really do. And I love my fucking pets. They are my children. And I know some people don't like that. So I get what you're saying. Okay. Celebration of life is totally fine. I don't want a funeral.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be honest, I'd rather you just like invite a bunch of people over and don't even tell them I'm dead. So they're like not sad when they show up. And then they show up and then you're like, oh yeah, Kyle's dead. Here's a shot. And they're like, what? Wow.
No. See, I want them to have it. I want them to have that sadness because it was like, I'm going to relate this to like Tyler's celebration of life. Like when we did that, like we knew what we were walking, like we knew obviously he was no longer with us, but also like because of where we were going, we knew we were going to have a good time.
Oh yeah.
So it like made it easier. And we just like, we didn't really talk about it at all. We were all just like, we're here to, celebrate.
Yeah. And that is, so everybody grieves in a different way, right? Like I totally understand that. And so for most people, I think as long as you're cool with that, yeah, come just have a drink, have a good time, try to forget that I'm even dead, but have a reason to gather together, like have that connected circumstance, because yeah, you're right. That can be good. But I don't want like people to like linger over it, I guess. So anyway, celebration of life is fine. No funeral. Ashes, I do not care. And then when it comes down to it, I trust Carly to deal with assets, right? So like I know some people have really weird problems in their families where like Carly's experienced this, where a loved one dies and then their significant other does
Mhm.
not allow family members to like have a memory of that person,
Right.
or like cuts off the family, right? Like the married into family, and is like, "Fuck off! I'm in charge here."
Right.
Carly would never do that, right? So I totally trust her. Everything goes to her. There's nothing in my will that goes to anybody but her, and nor will there be. I'm not going to be specific about it because I feel like if it is something that wasn't of a very specific value to her, and somebody in my family wanted it, she would have no problem being like, "Yeah, take this."
Right.
She's not going to be like, "Yeah, take all of his life insurance," because
Yeah.
that's silly. And I do have debts. Like, I expect my life insurance to pay off this house, so she doesn't have to worry about it. Things like that. So,
Right.
But I do expect that, like, if for whatever reason, like my brothers wanted like my Star Wars books, like Carly's not going to care about that.
Yeah.
So I trust her to do that. So my will is going to be very simple in that sense. And I have a very small family, and I don't see any contention. My brothers might be weird about some things. I could see that. But again, like if it's something that was weird that they were like, I really need to have that, I'm sure she would do that.
Yeah.
And then outside of those things, like sell it, keep it. I do not care.
Yeah.
They are no longer my things. I am dead. Do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
So, and like I started out like my grieving process, like specifically with my grandfather, is like if somebody gave me something of his, I kept it, and I still have too many of his things, but I like cut back on that too, because even then I'm like, what am I going to do with this, right?
Right.
Like, I have a connection to his memory, not to his things, and so
Right.
I have a couple of things that remind me of him, but I do not need to have a million freaking things of my grandparents, so I don't expect people to do that for me either. So sell all that shit.
The only things that I have from any family members that have passed away is like super specific things that I did with that person.
Yeah.
So like I have one of my grandpa's golf clubs because
Nice.
we
Yeah,
would golf
that's a good
together.
one.
He taught me how to play golf. I have one of my other grandpas on my mom's side. I have a fishing pole that they got us because they took us fishing. So it was like, just I have things like that. But it's like if somebody was like, "Do you want your grandma's book collection?" Like, fuck no, I don't.
No.
I don't read.
I do not.
Where am I going to put that? I don't even have a
Yeah.
bookcase. Like, just, yeah, I don't want any of I want the things that are like, that actually mean something. I don't want to just have something because it was theirs.
Yeah, I've narrowed it down pretty much where I have my great grandfather's flip calendar at my desk because I used to play with it when I was a kid when I'd go visit him. And that is like the only memory that I have of being with my great grandfather. So I got that, and I'm so thankful that I have that because it does remind me, of that limited exposure that I had to my great grandfather.
Right.
And then I have my grandpa's shotgun. It's the one thing that he left me because he knew that was the connected piece to him and I. Like that was a smart thing for him to do because I didn't need anything else.
Right.
Or actually, that's not totally true. I have a couple other things that my grandma allowed me to have that I really did want. So like my grandpa owned an auto parts store, and I have some memorabilia from that.
Yep.
So like I really care about that shit because I used to go put parts away at the store with him. Anyway, but his shotgun, right? Like he used to let me borrow that. I'd go trap shooting with him, and it was like my grandpa was a pretty hard motherfucker, and so like the fact that he even let me take that out of his house, I'm like, he really does love me. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Because he was not like an emotional dude, right? Like so, like
Right.
him trusting me to use that was like his way of showing that he cared about me, and so like,
Yeah.
I have that fucking thing, and I'll never get rid of it. So. But anyway, I've gone a little bit over time, so we don't really have time to talk about any other death related things. But unless you have anything else to say, you can move on to your topic because I think I'm good there.
I'm good.
Death's weird, man. Death's fucking weird. People grieve in different ways. If you need to grieve in a specific way, more power to you. I just don't want people to like do formal rituals that cost money.
Bingo. All right. Roll straight into mine. Maybe this has a connection to your second topic too, but maybe it doesn't. What are some things that you do in life that you should quit but just can't? What are some of your bad habits? Maybe that's detrimental to your health, like my first one.
Yeah.
These fucking things.
Oh yeah, dude.
Cannot
quit.
quit.
Are so goddamn popular right now.
Cannot quit. Will not quit. These are delicious, and they make me feel good. But I also I want to clarify with this. I have gone a day or two without these since I've started using them. And I don't I'm not withdrawing from them.
The thing that interests me about Zyn is that people that are non-tobacco chewers got hooked on those like the moment they came out.
Because they taste good.
Like their popularity exploded
It was
off the charts.
it was because like with vapes, there was a time period where, and it's kind of that way now. So like when vapes first started being a thing, I don't want to say it was unregulated, but there were it was to an extent. Like
certainly, yeah.
certain things were regulated. There were some sketchy ones, some not sketchy ones. But like you could get any flavor you wanted. You could do any nicotine percentage that you wanted. Like there was a lot of things that you could control with it. And then they took a lot of that away. So that's why everybody uses like the disposables now, just because it's like that's what is allowed to be made. So it's like with these, you can get various different nicotine levels depending on the brand. Like Zyn, I think only does like 3 milligram and 6 milligram, but some of them go up to like, in America anyway, I think the max is like 40, but you can get snus from over in Europe that goes up to like 100 plus milligrams for absolute degens. Respect you if you can do it. I can't. Sixes are pushing it for me. So
Yeah.
not going up to that level, but like you can find basically any flavor that you want. There's so many brands that do like the pouches now, and it's just like you don't have to. You're not hitting a vape. You're not having to blow smoke anywhere. Like I gave my brother who vapes some of these to go to a wedding that he was going to, because he was like, I don't know how long the ceremony is going to be. Like if it's like an hour plus long, like I'm going to be jonesing for my vape during it. And I'm like, just pop one of these in. So it was like, they're just super easy to use. You don't have to spit. You can swallow it. Like it. We're 12. But yeah, it's just, they're super easy to use and they taste good, which certainly helps.
Okay. Fair enough.
But yeah, this is number one for me. I realistically, probably should not use nicotine. There are some benefits to it. There's some negatives to it, as with pretty much everything in life. So if you do it in moderation. Don't do it like I do.
I think my number 1 through 5 are probably all food.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I have some horrible, horrible eating habits. And if it weren't for like my semi-decent metabolism, I'd probably be 500 fucking pounds. Thankfully, I just don't eat that much.
Yeah.
So like that's probably a lifesaver for me too.
That's always one thing I noticed when I visited you and Carly. Both of you, to an extent, kind of like awe at how much I can eat in one sitting. Like when we went to In-N-Out and I got like 2 burgers and fries and I ate all of it, and I was like, I'm gonna go snack on some cookies now. Yeah. Carly was literally like, I'm thoroughly impressed at how much you can eat and not like blow up.
Yeah, I have like 1 In-N-Out burger and half a thing of fries and I'm dying. I'm full as fuck. So that's, again, a blessing and a curse, right? Like I am very lucky to, mostly just blessing, to be honest with you. It's nice not to have to fucking eat 8 million calories a day. Okay, but anyway, I'd say at the top of the list is probably chips.
Yeah, chips are bad.
I cannot stop. And like, I can crack open a family bag of Doritos and I'd probably eat almost the entire bag in a sitting if I'm not like consciously making the decision to stop myself. I would just keep going. And so
I just don't buy chips anymore.
I try not to. And we've done a pretty good job. Because I don't do grocery shopping anymore. No, I'm sorry, Carly. I've almost pretty much made her do all of it, which she hates. And I am sorry for it, kind of. But because of that, she keeps me honest on not eating as much shit as I probably would. Except for if she's going to go on a trip, she will hook a brother up with some Doritos, which she did. And I ate a shitload of them last night. So
nice.
It's a problem. And then really quickly, I'll just go through a couple others. The next one would be like my sweet tooth, right? Like ice cream. I can barely have fucking ice cream in the house because I'll destroy it. So thankfully, I'm not doing that quite as bad anymore because we don't buy it. And number 3 or 2, debatably here, is pizza. I could fuck up pizza every day of my life. Yeah. People are like, what's the one thing that you could eat and never get tired of? For me, it is no shit pizza. I could never, I could do it every day. I love pizza.
It's actually funny that you say that because I don't think either time I visited you, we had a single pizza, maybe a frozen one.
Well, that's the problem, right? Like I like get the convenience pizzas too. I'm like, I don't want to cook pizza.
Jack's Pizza.
I don't want to cook pizza. And Jack's was the thing of my childhood.
We're getting pizza next time I come out there.
We can. There's actually, we know of at least one really good pizza place here now, so we can take you.
Perfect. Is there a Mod Pizza there? Mod Pizza is delicious.
I think Mod's around still, yeah.
Perfect. We'll get one of those while we're there. I'm there for like 2 weeks, so. Love
pizza. Yeah, you're here for a good stay this time. Okay, you can go with your next one because those are my top 3.
So Sweet Tooth is also a huge bugaboo for me, especially like cookies. I can't buy cookies because I will just every 20 minutes I want to go grab another one, and then one turns into 9.
Yeah.
And then it's like I just had 6,000 calories in a day.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's like
Yep.
that becomes a real problem for me. And then if we're talking like a very specific food that I probably shouldn't eat as much as I do, it's wings. I could fucking eat. We eat wings every meal for every day for every meal, and probably never get tired of it.
Yeah.
Which is
A lot of
fine.
people are like that with wings.
It's fine if you're doing like when I do like smoked wings, there's no breading, their skin, like I just throw them on the smoker, throw a little seasoning on them, and it's just whatever the calories of chicken are at that point.
Yeah.
But when you go out and then they're fried with a sauce, and I like the sweeter sauces, so I'll get like a mango habanero, and you look on the menu and it's like that adds 360 calories to the already 2,500 calories of wings that I'm eating because I'm eating 20 every time. It becomes a problem.
Yeah, I like boneless wings, which are just chicken nuggets. So
They're still
even then,
delicious.
like the problem is honestly, like the thing that made me probably like wings was Buffalo Wild Wings when it came out, and then their quality tanked so badly that I don't really fuck around with wings that much anymore.
I haven't gone to a Buffalo Wild Wings in probably 2-3 years.
I did because I had like a discount code or something, and I was like, oh, let's just get some cheap or free wings or whatever it was. Wasn't worth it. Not good.
Yeah, if I was gonna go now, I'd go on a Tuesday where it's like the buy one get one free.
And then I did the Ghost Kitchen thing where they did the sandwiches, and I was playing games with you the day that I did it.
Yeah, the bird dogs.
And they sent me bird dogs with no sauce.
Yeah, that was kind
It
of.
was literally
up.
just a fucking chicken strip on a bun, and I was like, "What is this bullshit?"
Uncle Kyle, you are very correct. Flats are better than drums. Thank you.
There's probably a point of contention for some people, but I don't give a shit because I don't eat bone and meat because it weirds me out. Lewis, stop touching the keyboard.
But an actual bad habit that I have that I just cannot stop doing is biting my nails and my cuticles.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
It's an anxiety thing for me, and it calms me for whatever reason. So my fingers are, I'm not going to show them on camera but they are beat to shit.
I don't want to say this anymore necessarily because I don't do it really at all. But for a long time, a long time, I think my number one bad habit was video games, dude. And I only say that it's a bad habit because of the amount that I would play.
Right.
Right. Like
same.
Like I would get done with a day of school or work or whatever, hop immediately on a game console and play until I like physically was passing out. Like I would play for hours. And this is like, I mean, you look back probably 7 years now, and I was still doing that, right? Like I was playing fucking Fortnite, and that's how I met Jake, right? Like at that point in time, I was still fucking going ham in video games.
Yeah, we would
the
play
Destiny
for
raids that I used to do.
Like, yeah,
it was insane.
We
dude.
we did a couple raids that took like 2 hours to do it.
I would spend days doing it.
Yeah,
because like I got to the point where I was playing Destiny and I was like walking new people through raids, and it would take full days, and it's not healthy. So thankfully, I don't do that anymore. I have like a game night, specifically play a little bit of games on podcast nights to keep me fucking in. It keeps me connected with the homie here, and then it also like gives me some sort of stress relief too. I get that. So, but that was bad for a long time, dude. It was pretty bad, and to be completely honest with you, like there are days when I like crave video games, like borderline video game addiction, where I'm like, I want to do nothing other than go home and play video games right now for hours, and it is, it can still be a problem. So thankfully, I don't really have that problem anymore for the most part.
Yeah, Logan with Tarkov. Logan and I went through a Tarkov phase, and that was a problem.
Yeah,
it was like 12 hours a day, every day grinding.
I've been watching YouTube Shorts. I've talked about this a little bit since I'm not a TikToker, and Rust has popped up. Yep. And there's a guy that'll go and like look at people's bases in Rust and then look their username up and see how much they play. And there was 2 in a row that I saw from this guy that it was like, dude played 11 to 20 hours every day for 7 days of the week that this guy looked at. Jesus. Between 11 and 20 a day for a whole like 7-day stretch. And I'm just like, holy fucking shit. That is so unhealthy.
Yeah, that's tough. What do you think
that is quite literally unhealthy?
What do you think is the most amount of days straight that you've played video games? When I was playing competitive Counter-Strike, I probably played at least a month straight every single day.
it wouldn't shock me to know that so like if I think back to when I was like when I might have been the absolute worst when I started playing RuneScape in elementary school.
Yeah.
I might have gone
know if I
fucking
count
2-3
that,
months
though.
with every day in a row.
I don't know if I count RuneScape.
But the only thing that probably prevented me from playing every single day was the fact that I didn't have internet at my house.
Yeah.
So I went to the public library to play video games, and my mom wouldn't let me go sometimes on the weekend. So that was probably like what stopped me. It was like had a Saturday where my mom was like, "I'm not driving you to the library. You can walk." And I'm like, "Nah, it's too far." So like that was the thing that stopped me. But that was probably the worst, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
And you know what's hilarious about it is I look back on that and I think about how terrible like my progress was given the amount of hours that I put into that game.
Yeah.
Because I've like revisited RuneScape in my adult life and played like a little stint here or there. Like I was gone for work for a while and I played a little bit just because like the internet was capable of handling that game. And so I played some. And I'm like, I feel like I've made more progress in these like 7 days than I did in like the fucking 3 years that I played this game.
Oh,
when I
yeah.
was a kid.
Yep.
It is insane how bad I was at video games.
Oh, yeah. Anyways,
yeah, that's probably it.
Bad habits suck. Kick them if you can. Takes 27 days to make a habit. So try and do some good in your life. All right, Kyle.
Logan, you said you got back into Rust. I want to also kind of do this, but we don't play enough to make it like reasonably feasible. But that's the last thing I have to say about that, because I don't want to get like raided every time I like build like a minor base, then like don't play for a week. Anyway, go ahead, Jake. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, close us out.
Okay, then. Jake is on Twitter and Instagram at Perry_FF. I think that's your Instagram handle, right?
Jacob Perry.
Just kidding. He's on Twitter at Perry_FF. Jacob Perry on Instagram. You can find him and the Two Average Husbands Facebook as well. But honestly, we haven't done it yet. We need to just fucking delete that Facebook, because I guarantee Jake hasn't used it more since I deleted social media.
We got one viewer in the last 7 days.
Yeah, with no content. We should probably delete that shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so Twitter and Instagram, #2 AVG Husbands. YouTube is the best place to watch and join in on the podcast, to either chat with us live or just see the content. So like, subscribe, those types of things to see the videos every week. We are temporarily, but maybe permanently, switching to Thursdays because of Jake's schedule.
It's at least for the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, so it's going to be at least mid-term to long-term with us going Thursdays. So join us on Thursdays, chat live. We're in the Discord. If you want to join us on the Discord, if you need an invite or a link to any of this, just see any of the things that I just mentioned, and you can find a link tree that takes you to all of our different stuff. Otherwise, you can comment on Twitch as well. You can watch on X, but you can't comment on X. So join us in any of those different ways. Jake, rate your last beer. I will rate mine right now, and then we can close out. This does not taste like Dole Whip. It doesn't taste like pineapple. This is a 2.25. It's garbage. Go ahead.
I looked at my Untapped. I also rated it poorly. My beer tastes like strawberry. Don't really get the peanut butter and jelly part of it. It's still good. 3.25. So decent enough.
All right. Anything else?
Kyle covered it all. If you want to see us drink something, let us know what you want to see us drink. If you want to see us talk about something, let us know what you want us to talk about. But otherwise, this has been another episode of Two Average Husbands. We will see you all in our next episode. And as always, don't forget to tell somebody that you love them.